Hello, loyal listening audience. Thank you for downloading our podcast again. This is Noggin Notes, and I'm Jake Wiskerson. I'm your host. In this episode, I interview Kerry Slone, that's S-L-O-N-E, K-E-R-R-Y, if you're keeping score at home. And we talk about a lot of stuff in honor of Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Kerry is a domestic violence survivor, and she's also a very fierce advocate for gun ownership. And we try not to make this podcast political, so we try to avoid that, but we can't really avoid the idea of constitutional rights and how some people choose to exercise those rights. And I think Kerry does a really good job of articulating some of the flashpoints of today's dialogue revolving around guns and mental health and treatment and access to mental health and what scares people away and where the information is going and how that's used to allow or prohibit people from accessing gun ownership and how those guns are used to defend themselves against perpetrators of domestic abuse. So it's a fascinating conversation. She likes to talk, and I have no problem with that because I like to talk, and it gives me a break. And we tease each other, which is nice, as friends should do. So I hope you enjoy this conversation. As always, our podcast is brought to you by Audible. Audible is an Amazon company. And as you all know, probably by now, if you've used Amazon, you know that they have a very wide reach. And as a result, Audible has a very wide reach as well. And they have an unmatched selection of audiobooks and audio content that you can download. And right now, if you want, you can use our special code and our special URL to get a free 30-day trial that includes a free download of an audiobook. And it doesn't matter whether you continue the trial or not after your 30 days are expired. If you choose not to extend and pay for the subscription, you just keep your audiobook. Anyway, the URL is audibletrial.com/nogginnotes. It helps us out, it helps Audible out, and it helps you out because you get to feed your noggin with a vast array of downloadable Audible audio content. And say that three times fast. I can't even say it. And I'm doing this for, I would say for a living, but I'm not getting paid. This is just free stuff I'm throwing out there. But audibletrial.com/nogginnotes. Download your free free 30-day trial. I would cut and start over, but I'm just too busy and a little too lazy to do that. So we're just going to proceed. Download your free 30-day trial of Audible. Get your free audiobook. Keep it even if you cancel the membership, but we invite you to continue your membership because that just helps make the world go round as you're feeding your brain and supporting a great company and supporting a great podcast. audibletrial.com/nogginnotes. Get your free 30-day trial. We're obviously also sponsored by Zephyr Wellness, which is my company that I co-own with my co-owner, Lindsay Bell, here in Reno and Sparks, Nevada. If you're ever in this area and you're a listener, look us up. And if you want to reach out to us, info@nogginnotes.com is the way to do that, or info@zephyrwellness.org. We'd love to hear from you, and we'll answer your questions and put your stuff on air, hopefully, in response to your inquiries. Thanks for bearing with us through the last several weeks of technical difficulties and glitches and delays in podcast posting, but we're here and we're honoring October, which is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. This is my interview with Kerry Slone. I hope you enjoy it. So this week we're speaking with Kerry Slone, and Kerry and I met just a couple of weeks ago. We met really recently, but we kind of became BFFs at this conference that we attended. And I should let you say hi. Hi, Kerry.
Hello, BFF. It's kind of true. We totally hit it off. It was great.
We did. And it was the fastest I think it's ever happened. You and, Mike Sedini and I became BFFs pretty quickly. That was like an hour and a half, but yours and mine was like 15 seconds.
Yeah, it was pretty great.
You started announcing what you did, and I said what I did, and you're like, oh, we are totally going to hit it off. And we did the two fingers to the eye thing. And
it's true.
Actually, you did that.
Not to be mistaken with poking each other in the eye.
No, not at all. No, not like in
that's awkward.
Yeah, not in a Three Stooges way. But I'm totally sure the audience loves this right now. No, you did the two fingers to the eyes, like, I see you, and we're gonna be good friends, and
Yeah.
we have, like, we've started texting about stuff, and you've hit me up for some resources, and so my introduction for you is going to include the fact that you are a survivor of domestic violence. This is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We're recording this in October of 2019. So if you're listening to this out of order, no big deal. This is the theme. And you have started a nonprofit. You have very strong opinions on lots of things, which I appreciate because I do also.
No.
Yes. No, you do. And I appreciate that because I think in a world where we've got a lot of reflexive actions and statements online and from a bunch of keyboard warriors in social media, we don't have strong opinions. And your strong opinions are well rooted in fact and logic and law, which I appreciate. And I think that's part of why we connected so well. But you started a nonprofit, and your nonprofit organization teaches women to get out of the victim mentality, and I don't want to steal your thunder and explain it away. So I'm going to kick over to you to help educate the audience on what it is that you do, and then we'll take the conversation from there. So tell us what you do.
Are you sure you want to do that? I like to talk a lot.
Well, if I don't stop, I won't stop. So this is part of being a good host, is letting your guests talk.
Well, I am a domestic violence survivor. The last incident, I should say, of that happened, 12, 13 years ago. I'd have to sit down and look at it. It's been a busy month. So I have to look back at the numbers. I don't even remember how long I've been married to my husband. So I have to rely on him for that. So I had always in some way wanted in my retirement to work with domestic violence survivors, and the idea of what I thought it was going to be and what it ended up being are two different things. I'm not an exceptionally religious woman, but I do very much have a deep spiritual belief that everything you're put into a path that you're supposed to be on. Mm-hmm. And I just here in Washington State last year, we had a law passed that if you're familiar with firearms and the firearm industry at all, and any of the gun control laws that are have been put forward in the past few years, I-1639 in Washington State made national news because the governor here was very big on wanting to be, acknowledged for having one of the strictest gun control laws in the country, or some of the strictest gun control laws in the country. And in this particular law, there is a component that's written in that says when you apply for your firearm, which is a background check. So for anyone that owns a firearm, you understand there's a form you have to fill out. It's called a 4473. Now in Washington State, when you fill out that form, the minute you sign it, it's a waiver of your medical records, including your mental health care records.
Which is why I'm having you on here, because for those of you who followed us on Noggin Notes in the last several months, you'll know that Zephyr Wellness, which is the company that I co-own, and Walk the Talk America, which is founded out of Las Vegas, have tried to merge the cultures of gun ownership and mental health, because what we're seeing is an emerging trend of firearms owners who are afraid to come in and get counseling for their ailments because they're afraid they might lose their firearms ownership ability. And what that's resulting in is people under so much distress that they're literally killing themselves with their own firearms because they're too afraid to go get help. And that's not okay. So we need to try to fix that. So I appreciate that you mentioned that. Like, the access to medical records, or the waiver to get into medical records, is really important, because forever medical records were completely confidential unless the patient signed a release to have them sent somewhere.
Right. And and thank you for that, and I appreciate it. And that was part of what made us immediately become BFFs. Is I mean, the look on your face, and when you kind of like your head exploded, because I am bringing a whole new level of conversation surrounding the mental health care and the firearms thing that I've literally had U.S. senators, not not get. So, so I'm bringing in a really unique perspective with that. So I spoke out about this law and what it does to domestic violence victims. And sometimes, and I know that you can appreciate this, and probably most people, if they get political at all, and I'm not going to make this political, but you understand that sometimes the way these laws are written isn't so much the issue as how they're not written, and that's done intentionally, so that they can have a vague, arbitrary. They have the vague, arbitrary ability to kind of to manipulate the people and do what they want. So that's exactly what this is. So my concern was, I, as a domestic violence survivor who did what she was supposed to do, and I went through all of the healthcare, the mental health care that I needed. I had severe PTSD. Which, by the way, fun fact, yes, does happen to other people. This is a mental health care podcast, so I know I probably don't have to say that, but it's often and most associated with veterans. But it can happen to anybody for anything. And mine was so severe that I actually experienced paralysis, and not in sleep. There wasn't sleep paralysis. I would have severe. It manifested in one of them took me to therapy. I would wake up from one of these nightmares where my ex was trying to murder me.
Kerry, hang on. Your whole thing broke up right after paralysis.
Ah, crap. Okay.
So you had. Let's start with.
So I would wake up. Am I good now?
There you go.
Okay, I would wake up from nightmares fully awake and conscious, and my vocal cords were paralyzed, and I couldn't scream or talk, or my legs were paralyzed, and I couldn't get out of the bed. So this wasn't sleep paralysis like most people think, and I've met very few people that have heard of it or experienced, or other PTSD sufferers, that have experienced that particular level of it. So it sent me to therapy. I actually went through I've come to understand, controversial EMDR therapy.
It's not that controversial. I think it's becoming more mainstream. It was a while ago, but I think it's more mainstream now. It's very, very effective.
About 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's about when it was emerging, we'll say.
Yeah. And interestingly enough, which I learned, I did some research on it. It actually started in like the lady that invented it was in the 70s or something crazy like that. But
true.
And worked with veterans and things. But one of the things that I think that, just side note on this, asterisk, footnote, is that if in fact if there are any patients that are listening to this, if you in fact make the decision to go through this, please understand that even if you're a clinician who may be great at providing that service, may not necessarily communicate very clearly to you how important it is to understand that you are going to get worse before you get better.
That's
because
literally
it takes you way back.
You're right. That's literally the first paragraph of our disclaimer, by the way, at Zephyr.
Oh, good, because that was not communicated to me.
That's a poor informed consent.
Yeah, it was really not good. And so I was so locked up that she actually had to do all of these other kind of fringe type treatments and stuff, and we'll talk about that sometime, but it was a trip. So long story short, I have PTSD on my medical record because I did what I was supposed to do, and I went to get help. So my concern was, what about all of these other victims now that have PTSD on their record? Are they going to be denied a firearm purchase when they're perfectly healthy later on in life? That's not acceptable, because there's no criteria written into this law that says what they will approve, what they will deny, what's acceptable, what's not. I know some people have rolled their eyes at me at this, and my girlfriend had a double mastectomy from breast cancer and had her, all of it taken. And she has to take a medication for hormone balance, and it's classified in the antidepressant category. Now, I know those of you in the mental health care field, medical field period, understand that many medications cross over. That they're in one classification, but they're used in other ways, particularly like smoking cessation and sleeping medications and those types of things. And so could she be denied? Because all they're looking at, they're not looking at the circumstances around why she's taking it. They're just going to see that she takes an antidepressant. There's no criteria that says whether that's going to, what will be approved and not approved, or what's acceptable. Furthermore, it's this whole HIPAA violation, obviously, but it goes into, they can continue to, it opens it up so that they can look at your records every year, and there's no criteria on how far back they can look. So They can look back 50 years if they want. Yeah, and that's that loophole thing, right? That's that whole thing about how it's not, it's like people kind of look at me confused sometimes when I say it's not how it's written, it's how it's not written. And, and again, I apologize for getting political, but there is a component, with policy, right? Or lack of the abundance of poorly written policy.